Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's NGV Kids at Home Art Club. My name is Ben, and I'm from the audience engagement team at the NGV, and I'll be the host today for this event. Ordinarily, we would begin by acknowledging that we meet on the unceded lands of the Kulin people of Naarm, which we know now as Melbourne. I am on the lands of the Wurundjeri people and pay my respects to them and their elders. However, as we are coming to you remotely today, I would also like to acknowledge that many other people present in today's talk may be on the lands of other traditional custodians, and I pay respect to those communities wherever they are as well. So today's art club, we have the wonderful Charlotte Alldis here, and she's going to be taking us through some of the artwork that she finds inspiring at the NGV, and then she'll be creating an artwork while we watch and listen. It's really exciting. Just so you know, you don't feel like you have to keep up with Charlotte. You can just watch her create and then create some artwork later. Don't feel like you have to keep up. Also, keep some pens, paper, textures, colored pencils, paint, whatever art materials you have handy will work. In case any of you are having issues with the view, if you go to your top right of your screen and click grid view, that way you'll be able to see me talk and you'll see Charlotte and you'll see what Charlotte wants to show you as well. Charlotte, over to you. How are you today?
I'm good, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. It's really exciting. Um, can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing today?
Yeah, so today we're going to be working off the theme It's My World. And so we're going to design today the world that we want. So we're going to paint um, behind me here. I'm going to paint for you, and you're welcome, as Ben said, to join along, or you're welcome to watch. We're going to paint a big, rainbowy, colorful, squishy world. That's the world that I
Fantastic.
want today.
Sounds great. And are you going to share some artworks with us that inspire you as well from the NGV collection?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to share two works that I would just like to talk through today that I think are really cool and really inspiring.
Fantastic. Just a reminder too to the audience, you can give us feedback or questions, let us know things via the chat function. So if you have any questions, any comments, please type those up through the chat function. And that's it, I think. Charlotte, over to you. Can you show us what inspires you at the NGV?
Yeah, no worries. So I'll take us through a few slides, and my inspirational slides are at the end. So I'll just give a quick um, talk about who I am very briefly. So
Thank
my name is Charlotte Alldis, and I'm an artist. Predominantly, most of my works are paintings, so they're usually quite big and very colorful and bright and playful. And they usually have lots of big characters with lots of fingers and hands and arms and lots of kooky things happening in their world. So a lot of my work, a lot of imagined sort of places that I like to draw and paint. I also sometimes paint murals as well. But yeah, most of my works, are based on characters, and they're about the adventures that these characters go on. Um, I sort of got into art when I was a kid, and I used to love writing little books with my brother, and we would sort of make up all these different characters and, get some bits of paper and do all these drawings and write all these tiny little books and staple them together. Um,
Fantastic.
yeah, so yeah, we've still got a big pile of them that thankfully have made it all the way. now into my life still. So I love reading through them. They're very funny.
Hey, can I pause you there a sec? We've just had a question. Do you use oils or acrylic paints?
Yeah, well, at the moment, I mainly use oil paints, but sometimes I like to do a lot of like just playing around with acrylics because obviously it's a lot easier to use and you can be a bit more free with it. You don't have to worry if it gets on your clothes or, if it gets on things, you can sort of rub them out a bit easier and wash them. So yeah, I like using acrylic as well because it's just fun to play around with different mediums, but most of my work is in oil painting at the moment.
Fantastic. And acrylic is a little bit, like you said, easier to clean up and manage too, right?
Yeah, yeah, and you can sort of spread it everywhere. And like this morning I was painting around and I sort of laid out a big piece of butcher's paper and I had my acrylics going everywhere and wasn't too worried about the mess.
Fantastic.
Mm.
And in your slides, have you got some works you can show us?
Yeah, yeah. So this is just a quick
Oh, wow.
right here of just me, an in action shot. And yeah, as you can see, I'm just putting some finishing touches on some flowers here. And
Fantastic.
go to the next slide. So this is a painting that I did at the end of last year, and it's called Flow. So as you can see, is very, very bright. And we've got a number of sort of different figures in here. We've got like a big yolk almost shape in the middle, like a big bulby yolk. And we've got a number of figures. Some of them are sort of hiding a bit more than others. We've got one blue one, light blue down the bottom, and we've got the blue one in the middle, and then there's sort of a greeny blue one at the top, which is sort of dancing with all of the flowers. And it's about all the different cycles, it's about seasons changing, it's about moving through different moments. And these characters are in a world that I've created for them, and they're all there together. So it's a very bright and it's a happy and joyful and playful painting.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the figures aren't realistic, are they? I mean, they're not like you don't try and draw a figure from life. It's more about movement and
Mm. Yeah,
stretching, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, they're sort of like wobbling and like squiggly figures, and they're like really long, longer than maybe they would be in real life. And they're usually like lots of different shapes. And yeah, I really enjoy sort of painting figures that look a bit more like sometimes how you feel, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
You sort of in the water, you're swimming or you're just having a nice day or you're in the sunshine and everything just feels good. So it's more about like a felt sense of a body rather
Yeah.
than what you might see with your eyes.
And the title of this work, is it
Flow.
Flow? Yeah. And that's what you just described. And the figures feel like they're flowing and
Yeah.
this kind of positive energy. Fantastic.
Yeah, they're sort of dancing a bit here, this one, especially the flowers at the top.
Yep.
And
Great use of color. Oh, wow.
so this one is called Midnight Rainbow. And I think that this one I like because there's no, we've got the dark night sky at the top. Um, but they couldn't in a real world, we couldn't have a rainbow at night time. It wouldn't be possible. So I like this magical kind of world that we've created here where we've got flowers are there all blooming at night time and there's a rainbow. And it's very similar to the other one. There's like these characters, they've sort of summoned a new friend into their world and they're welcoming them in and dancing among the trees.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the way the colors of the rainbow they really pop out because
Mhm.
black background, right?
Yeah,
Is that why
definitely.
you use a black in the background? Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's really fun to use the darker colors in contrast with the really light ones because it makes them actually really bright. You think that maybe the like a black is like a more of a darker color and we're connected to maybe those darker kind of um, scenes that we might imagine at night, but actually it can make everything so much brighter and more colorful.
Fantastic. And for our listeners at home, um, just a quick question. Maybe you could respond in the chat. What do you like to paint? And if you put characters into your paintings, are these characters based on your family? Are they based on your imagination? Let us let us know. Thanks.
Yeah, I would love to know.
Yeah.
And so the last one is a little bit different, I guess, to the other
Mm.
two because we don't have any really clear characters in this one. But this one I thought was just a good example to show as we're sort of going to design our world we want, where this one is based on the regeneration after the bushfires that happened last summer. And so you can see the sort of darker color underneath. Of sort of like the burnt earth, but then we've got all of the flowers that have come back in full force um, and much brighter than before. So, yeah, I think this is like a nice example of a kind of a different sort of landscape, and we've got kind of tree-like figures. They're sort of coming back up and into the earth again, regenerated.
Fantastic. This one to me has a real Australian kind of vibe to it.
Mm.
Maybe I'm thinking of Fred Williams or something. You know, it's just
Yeah,
the colors you've chosen
yeah,
and maybe the composition too, the way you've got the
the arc.
yeah, and just a little strip of sky up at the top.
Yeah.
And it's mainly the land. It's great.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the sort of arced higher landscape and also like just lots of little things, I guess, where the land is very, very Fred Williams. Lots of little flowers and trees in here.
Fantastic. And how do you choose your colors? How do you are you looking at nature and sort of picking from nature or
This one was sort of, I did a little bit of research on a lot of the native Australian wildflowers. We have some amazing, very brightly coloured wildflowers in Australia. So I did a little bit of research and I have a few books that I like to look at for colour inspiration. But I also love just putting down lots of different colors on my palette and then mixing them together and just seeing what comes up, which is always exciting. And then it's a nice way to like, I really enjoy trying to use lots of different colors in my works. So yeah, that's usually how I go about it.
so it's that kind of experimentation
Mm,
and almost playing with colors in a way. And
definitely.
I think that comes across in your work. There's a playful,
Mm.
happy, joyful vibe about them. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, playing is definitely at the center of my art practice. It's just fun to paint and, use your hands or use paintbrushes and just see what happens.
fantastic. I'll just pause you there for a sec, Charlotte.
No
I
worries.
forgot to mention to our viewers at home, we have the wonderful Steph from the NGV as well, and she'll be answering your questions in the chats. I forgot to mention that earlier. Thank you, Steph. Charlotte, tell us about this next slide. This is amazing.
Yeah, I just wanted to include this one because I thought it was a really good example in being Melbourne Design Week and just talking about design the world that you want. So you can see there's a painting that I painted a few years back now. I think it would have been about 3 years ago. And it was a painting that I had painted for my best friend. And then I was approached by Kauai, which is a Melbourne-based brand, and they wanted to transform the painting onto their clothes, which is amazing. And I'd never even, imagined or thought about my artworks being sort of transformed into anything like that. So here is an image of me wearing one of the dresses in my studio, which was, yeah, really, really exciting. And I like, how like powerful and so much joy. It's very happy and really very bright. You can definitely spot it from a mile away.
Fantastic. So that's the painting on the left.
Yeah.
And that painting was provided to who made the dress again? Sorry.
Oh, so Kauai is a Melbourne-based brand. So they basically took the image of the painting and then were able to get it produced onto fabric, and then they've made the clothes from the fabric.
Fantastic. And yeah, for our viewers at home, it is, like Charlotte mentioned, Melbourne Design Week. So there are lots of events happening around Melbourne to coincide with that. So if you're into or any kind of design, you'll
Mm.
find something going on in Melbourne. So make sure you look that up. There are some fantastic ideas for paintings coming across in the chats. I'm just going to read one now.
Yeah,
I
please
love
do.
king parrots.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, and budgies for life. Um,
Yeah.
People are just putting out these great ideas, and I think from seeing your work, Charlotte, they're kind of getting ideas right now. Um,
That.
so when it comes to art making, these people are ready to go, I think. Well done. Thanks for those comments.
So we'll just go. I just chose two works that I wanted to share with everyone that I really liked. So this painting is called U Butte Country Landscape Crawling by John Olson. And I really like this because I think it's a really interesting way of looking at a landscape. Sort of, it's not maybe exactly how we might see it with our eyes, but it's sort of what we were talking about. It's like, how does it feel? Like there's, we've got these big arcing sort of limbs, and we're sort of wondering, are they a figure? Is it a person or is it a tree branch? Um, or is it a bit more abstract than that, Is it sort of a pathway? And so I like this because it's not immediately obvious, and we can sort of think about, what might it be, and have a wonder about what all the elements are, and just a really different way, a bit of an abstract way, I guess, of looking at a landscape, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It almost looks like splatter, doesn't it? Like
Yeah,
if you splattered the paint on with that yellow. Yeah, fantastic.
yeah. And the other artwork that I also want to share, which I think is very much a different contrast to our last image, but this one is by Albert Namatjira, McDonnell Ranges at Heat Tree Gap in the 1950s. And I really like how soft and quite romantic, I guess, this painting is, you feel like it might look like what it would look like with your eyes, but it's also very soft, and you can see that they've used watercolor as well, and it's just like a really beautiful insight. And obviously like a spot that really meant a lot to him as well. So I think it's really beautiful to see how different, we can paint landscapes.
Yeah, like you said, compared to the Olsen, it's a bit more representational, a bit more real looking. Um, I love the way it kind of has a clear foreground, midground, background.
Yeah,
Vibe.
absolutely.
Distant mountains in blue. Yeah, excellent. Charlotte, thank you so much for sharing those.
No worries.
Um, just a reminder too, the NGV has over 70,000 works in its collection, and you can access those online. So if you're ever at home and you can't get to the gallery, you can always look at the collection online. It's really cool. Um, okay. I think it looks like we're getting ready for some art making now, team. Like I said before, Charlotte's going to do some work now, but don't feel like you have to keep up with her. You can always just watch and make some art later. If you are keen to make art, now's the time. Make sure you have your paper, paints, pencils, ink, whatever you've got. Um, and we'll be talking as Charlotte creates the work too. So yeah, we'll try and explain. Over to you, Charlotte. Thank you. Charlotte, have you got your mute button on? Can you just check your, yeah,
There we go.
that's better. Thank you.
Awesome. So I was just going to do a really quick warm-up activity just before we got into it, and you don't have to do this one with me. You can watch if you like. So I'm just going to do a quick scribbling activity. So I've chosen a green pen and a red pen, and I've got a piece of paper here behind me. We'll bring it a little bit closer. Okay, maybe it can rest here. I might just move this so we can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one texture in one hand and one in the other. And I'm going to put my pen to the paper both at the exact same time. And when I put it on the paper, I'm going to scribble them around like this the whole time. And I'm not going to take my pens off the paper until I've covered the whole thing. Okay. So I really like this one because sometimes when you don't know where to start, it's a good one to just kind of get the creative juices flowing. So we'll start like this. Sort of doing some very squiggly, might do some crossover.
And once again, it's that playful
Yeah.
nature. Like it's like you're playing. You're just having a great time playing. Yeah.
They chase each other. Yeah, I think this can be a good one because some really funny shapes can come up from it afterwards, which is always exciting. I'm
Wow.
done. Yeah, I really like that activity because sometimes, you know, when you're not sure where to start, and you can just keep going. You can just grab two more pens or whatever markers you would like to use.
Yep.
And we might, yeah, we could maybe incorporate this into our painting later. So I thought we would start by, we're going to sort of start by creating the land. So I'm just going to move my camera back so we can see. How's that?
That
So
looks great.
I am going to start off. I put a little bit of paint on my palette. So I've got a little plate here and I've put some really bright colors down. I don't know how you can see this pretty clearly, but I've put this sort of fluoro pink that I'm going to use down here. And for my sky, I'm going to use this red and yellow color. So I'm not painting a world that is realistic. I'm going to paint a sort of make-believe world today.
Fantastic.
And sort of my theme that I wanted to paint today for the like design the world that you want, or it's my world, is I wanted to paint like a really rainbow, colorful world today. And you can maybe see that because I've painted a little border just so you guys can see the piece of paper I've put up clearly behind me. So yeah, that's my theme. And you're welcome to also, you know, you might want to just do this digitally at home, or you might want to do it with pencils. Yeah, there's enough you can do with whatever you like, really. So we're going to start here I'm just going to make a line across the page so I know where the land stops at the top.
So would that be the horizon line?
Yeah, it would be the horizon line. Yeah. So where like our eyes stop seeing where the land meets the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I want to do is I want it to be, I don't want it to be quite like thick and solid. I kind of want the marks to be like kind of squiggly, like my world. So
Mm-hmm.
I might do like some circles. And sometimes it's good not to use too much water because you can kind of see all the different marks that your brush can make, kind of like a texture.
Yeah, fantastic. And any viewers out there that are currently painting along with Charlotte, please let us know how you're starting. I think our a viewer Ben is telling us he's working on a king parrot already, so
Amazing.
which is great. He's inspired by nature.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, birds are great. There are so many amazing Australian birds as well, and some of them have the most incredible colors as well. So very inspirational. It's very bright, this pink.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
On your little plate there, on your palette, I noticed
Mhm.
they're all kind of warm colors, aren't they?
Yeah, I have. I've
So,
chosen quite
so
ones. My plan originally when I was thinking about my rainbow world is I wanted to sort of have quite a warm background. And then I think when I draw in a figure, I've chosen some cooler colors. So some blues and greens to add in. So a bit of a contrast.
great. And Matilda's letting us know that she's working on an Aussie bird, just
Amazing.
like, yeah, just like I'd love to know what kind of bird,
Yeah.
Matilda, if you can. Oh, your pet bird. That's cool.
Oh, that's
Wow.
cool. I
Yeah,
never had a pet bird.
no, that'd be great.
Amazing. I'm going to use a little bit more of my fluoro pink as I've run out. Grab some more pink.
It's Laura Keat. Thank
Ah,
you, Matilda. And we just had another viewer working on a car, working on a vintage car. That sounds amazing.
wow, everyone's got these amazing ideas.
Yeah. And please share these with us too, guys. When you've finished, please help us out by emailing us your artwork or sharing it on Instagram. We'll have that info up in the chat for you soon.
Yeah, I
Somebody's
would love
working on a jungle rainforest.
to.
Wow.
That sounds really cool.
Um, Also, if you have any questions for Charlotte, please type them up. Um, that would be fantastic. Charlotte, I can't believe how fast this is coming along. You just started painting and yet you have this kind of landscape already. It's
Yeah,
great.
it did happen quickly. I guess maybe I just paint a lot, so I've gotten very quick. But yeah, it's really exciting when you paint because you don't always paint the same way every time, so you don't know exactly what it's ever going to look like. You can make a pretty good idea, but that's why it's really fun, I think, because you sort of have a go and then you see all these shapes emerge and you sort of can go off that and sort of
Fantastic.
make new things. I reckon I'm gonna start painting the sky now.
Hmm.
So I've got my red paint here. and I sort of was going to do like red at the bottom and then it fades into yellow. So a bit of like a gradient,
Mm-hmm.
a reverse sunset maybe.
Here's an interesting question. Can you get the same effect using texture?
Yeah, I love texture and I sketch most days in my sketchbook with textures.
Yep.
Um, I think you can get a similar effect. Definitely, you see how like all the swirling and sort of scratching with the sort of dryer brush. It does look really quite similar to texture, I think. Um, so you can get a very similar effect, especially, you know, when the texture you've used it heaps and it gets quite dry.
Starting to run out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I reckon that's also one of my favorite times when the textures are actually running out because you get these sort of cool effects, you know, where you can see a bit more depth and you can use lots of different colors. So yeah, it's not exactly the same because you've got, you know, a bit of water and paint's a lot thicker, but yeah, I reckon has an awesome effect. So it's fun to mix them both as well. Do a bit of a texture drawing and then some paint around it is always fun to play with as well.
Yeah. And I guess it depends on the scale you're working at too, right? You're doing quite a large piece, so you're using a large brush. Is that
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Yeah.
I could have used a bigger one, but sometimes, yeah, using different size brushes, you sort of can get a little bit more detail as well, which is fun. And towards the end, I might even just do some finger painting with some of my details as well, which is always lots of fun.
Fantastic. Does any of our viewers use their fingers to paint sometimes?
When was the
Or
last?
have you used any other tools to paint? Um, some people paint with knives, right? Is that
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things. You can make your own paintbrush really from anything. You could use a leaf, you could use like a sponge as well. Any sort of found material because you can just put paint on it and you might want to use like to print things or paint around it like a stencil. So
Yep.
it's very open, you know, you don't have to have a paintbrush. You can use whatever you want.
Yeah. Sometimes I use cups. Oh, somebody just said cups, using a cup. Sponges. Ah, a palette knife. Thank you, Ben, for sharing that. A palette knife. That's what they're called.
Yeah, cups idea. I've never thought to do that before, but I really like that idea.
A roller. Yes.
Yeah, very.
Those being used before.
I'm using a bit of water for this because I would like to see a bit of like transparency at the top. There's a lot of thick paint, but I'm going to make it a little bit more see-through.
Ah, okay. So the white of the paper, is that what you can kind of see through the paint?
Yeah, yeah. So
And
just like not using as thick of paint at the top.
yeah. Cotton bud.
Mm,
Cotton. Thank you, Matilda and Sienna. Yeah.
that's a good one if you want some like fine details as
Mm,
well, Fred. Or
yeah.
even to remove paint. Sometimes if you have a really thick bit and you want to actually take a little bit off and do a
Mhm.
sort of reverse, be a really cool effect. Got a big sunset kind of going on over here.
It's great.
Yeah, this is my palette. This is what, when I paint normally, I like to let all of the colors kind of mush together because then you can sort of see lots of different colors kind of happen. And I like to combine them all. At the end, they're all messy.
Yep. Fantastic. Sometimes I use string to create lines when painting.
Ooh,
Thank you, Lila. That sounds amazing. String. I guess you could, yeah, drag string along the surface. That'd be
Yeah,
wild.
could even like put the string down and then paint over it and then pull it up and it might leave like a print if the string was like really thick.
This is amazing. Thank you so much, everybody who are typing into the chat room. I wish I was painting. I'm just getting, wow, this is great. And seeing Charlotte do this, just getting all these ideas. It's great.
You'll have to do some painting after this, Ben.
I think I will. I think I will.
So I think that's my background for now. And what I would like to add in is I'm going to add in a figure. Maybe it's going to represent me in my world. So I'm going to draw an imagined version of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I might also put in a rainbow just because we were talking about rainbows today, and a flower. So I've just, on my palette, you can see here, sort of all mushing together already. I've just put a number of colors that I really like. It's got some purple, green, blue, yellow, and a white. And you can use just one color if you want. I've just chosen a few because I'm going to sort of use a little bit of all of them. And yeah, we're going to start painting our figure. And I think I might choose my favorite color to represent me, which is green.
Fantastic. I'll just update you with a little time watch too. It's we have just under 10 minutes left of today's session. So um keep doing what you're doing. This is amazing. I love seeing your sort of process, how you've put all this stuff down and now you're layering more on top, aren't you, in a way? Just going straight over.
Our top layer, yeah. So I'm sort of, you can see when I'm getting paint from this, I'm just like mixing my colors a little bit together, which I love to see all of the colors coming together on the palette. So I've got my
Wow.
sometimes it's fun to paint on a big piece of paper because you can make big gestures, make big shapes.
And is that just regular paper that
Yep.
you're painting on? Like a,
Yeah,
yep,
it's just butcher's paper, which I really love to play on.
yep.
Okay. Sort of drawn my character is wandering around over here. Big arms.
That's great. I can see that figure appearing now.
Yeah, we've got
Yeah.
one big blue arm over there. Right, we'll give them effects. I might do it with my fingers. So I'm just gonna with an eye. It's so fun to use your fingers.
Yep.
Smile. My character's kind of upside down looking at the sky. Maybe watching the stars. Maybe we can add some night sky stars in. Maybe they're flowers, maybe they're stars.
That's great. Matilda just sent through pink trees. Is that what you're painting, Matilda? That sounds great. Pink trees.
Or I think your pink trees would go in my pink world too. Maybe
Yeah.
our worlds would totally get along.
Love it.
There it goes.
And I'll just have to give you a 5-minute warning too, Charlotte.
Awesome.
Not that you need it. You're doing this little demonstration is amazing.
I was thinking maybe the last thing we could add in would be either a little rainbow on our horizon or maybe some flowers. We'll see if we have time for both.
Great.
So my rainbow, I think I might use some purple. Love purple. It's such a cool color.
Yeah. Thank you, Steph, for reminding me. If anybody has any last questions for Charlotte, we do only have about 5 minutes left. This is just so inspiring. And I think you were talking about feelings before.
Yeah.
This painting is like this figure smiling. It's putting a smile on my face. I love it. It's just
Yeah, it's yeah, I love painting because I feel like it's the medium that lets me just express things how I want to express them, which is really cool. I've just made two little rainbows because we're in a make-believe world, so we can have as many rainbows as we like. And maybe a flower to finish us off on the side. We'll draw. Can you see this one okay?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, this point in the painting, I love just mixing them all together on the palette and just seeing what crazy colors kind of come up. And then maybe you'll get some blue petals. Great.
That's great. Matilda's just let us know that her tree is above the clouds.
Wow, I love
That sounds like a cool painting.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool world that she's made.
Yeah. You will have to send that one through to us, Matilda.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Love to see it.
Love to. How much time have we got? We probably have almost done.
Yeah, we've got another couple of minutes. This is amazing. And the flower could almost be a figure too, couldn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Lots of my flowers have faces on them. I put some sort of dots on this petal, on this flower, sorry, but yeah, I love drawing faces on my flowers and on my trees and suns, and sort of seeing what their character is.
And it's also like we were talking about feelings,
Yeah.
emotions.
It's all
Oh,
part.
wow. There's a flying mermaid on the horizon of someone's painting. Thank you for sharing that.
That's
Flying
amazing.
mermaid. How cool does that sound?
That sounds really magical. I would
Yeah.
love to see that.
Yeah. Now, Charlotte, you wouldn't normally paint this fast, would you, in your practice when you're.
Not with oil paint, because oil paint takes a really long time to dry.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're obviously doing a demonstration as well, so we are painting maybe a little bit quicker and whatever. But yeah, I love just playing around with paint, just putting out a big piece of paper, and just mixing all the colors together and seeing what happens.
Fantastic. I can't believe you've pretty much finished quite a large landscape there in like 20 minutes, was it? Something like that. It's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today, Charlotte.
Thanks for having me.
It's been so inspiring. For those of you at home, Charlotte will be back with us in 2 weeks, the 10th of April. I'm going to put a little slide up in a sec that will advertise that. So please come back and be with us in another couple of weeks. That session will be at 11 a.m. Just take
Correct.
note of the time. Today's was a little bit later. And Charlotte, what's that session going to be about again?
Yeah, so we're doing some kooky creatures. So what we're going to do is if you have any sort of recycled materials, so like cardboard, boxes, anything that you might what might otherwise go in the recycling, so like some bottles or like some milk lids and bottle caps, and cellophane, paper material, and we're going to make a big kooky character out of all of our found materials.
Fantastic. Charlotte, thank you so much for today. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
Um, enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Those of you at home, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and ideas about the works you've been creating. I hope you're all inspired like I am to paint more. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. And please don't forget to share your work too. In the chat, you'll see the email address where you can send us your works. And you'll also find the hashtag if you're sharing on Instagram. Thanks, everybody. See you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
Charlotte. See you.
Bye.